what do we do to differentiate coaching and make sure teachers get exactly what they need? We talked about tailored approaches. So really thinking about the instructional coaching, the one-on-one support, especially for novice teachers, being very direct when we're talking to our novice teachers, the cognitive approach where we're talking about reflective thinking and we're building teacher decision-making by providing a lot of scaffolds and a lot of questions. And then the collaborative coaching where we're co-planning, we're working with teachers, we're even co-teaching and thinking about the partnership. But I often say there's one other approach is the new, not only the new to the teaching experience, but new to the discipline. So I want to say a lot of us are starting to train people that are coming from different disciplines. So really having a different type of conversation about, students and instructional levels and what is right for what age group. So we're starting to see new teachers. I was just working with a teacher that was the manager of Papa John's, to be very transparent and really helping guide her to what the institution is, how students learn, what are some best practices, what should she try, what should she stay away from, right? Really getting into those different tailored approaches for the different various levels of people that we work with. So hopefully that's helpful. And feel free to put anything in the chat. I can definitely read the chat moving forward. So flexible PD formats. I say, look, if you are presenting at a PD, you need to model the behavior that you want to see. Just saying, right? So when we think about how are we presenting, are we using workshops? What are we doing to kind of introduce new concepts? Are we getting people excited? Even though it's adult learning, they still want to be not only entertained, but challenged, but using a strategy that they can use and take back, right? So always think about how you introduce this concept. So using workshops. Also, you have your online learning, right? What are the asynchronous learning methods? Sometimes teachers want to kind of do a quick learn. So I'll record little quick videos so they can quickly learn and kind of dive into the thing that I want them to learn. So really thinking about what are your asynchronous workflows that are happening in your space. Following up, I think this is the part where some of our coaches struggle with is the debrief and the following up with things that you have showed them. So based on an asynchronous lesson on proximity. So that was a 1-minute video session, things that they could do. And then what's the follow-up to say, hey, I saw you watch the video on proximity and I see that you're using it in your practice, right? Thinking of how do we circle and make that loop. And then the peer observation. I love to schedule these. These are great to really think about how can I get everybody with the same lens of learning. And so we usually norm our lenses with a teacher that's not from the school. And then we have the video and then we norm our lenses and talk about what we're seeing, what we don't, what we say, what we're not going to say, what we're seeing, and then basically move on into the classrooms and then come back and debrief. And then we share those experiences. So I hope that is helpful because I think about how do you implement your PD formats at your school? Data driven. So of course there's the targeted improvement, like being very specific. We cannot give our teachers more than 2. I always say 1 to 2 things to kind of change with multiple examples or examples when they were in the classroom. Of course, looking at different data analysis patterns. What do we see across different classrooms? Like I noticed that this is happening in all of the classroom. Behavior is a ongoing concern, and thinking of different ways to address that. And not pinpoint and say, well, you're dealing with this, not everybody else, right? And then the data collection piece. I always like to say when we are instructional coaches or instructional leaders, we have to dive into bigger data pieces. So I'm talking about the LMS to look at the group of students that you're serving. I'm talking about your power schools to look at the demographics, look at the students compared to one classroom to the next, because that can give a bigger data picture or lens, and you can speak to multiple data points for that teacher, for that classroom. So I encourage you to get access to all those components. That way you can be in the know and they too can be in the know, because you will provide evidence on why you've said a statement. Okay. All right. So when we're talking about collaborative goal setting, really thinking about what do we talk about when we work with our teachers? Okay, so a lot of times we're cheerleaders. We want to kind of discuss what are their aspirations, what do they want to do, where am I guiding them to? Because sometimes teachers are saying, well, I want to be a principal. Okay, and so you're like, okay, as a principal, so now you can come in that lens and you can give references, and so you can uncover their dreams and give little, like, I want to say, this personalized experience based on the things that they want and they need in life, right? Especially if you bring some type of experience and you can help them on that journey of growth. Those are, I always say, those are like deposits, little deposits you put in your teachers' bank accounts, that where they're like, I remember you said I want to be a principal. You gave me this, I don't know, check sheet of what it takes to be a leader. That really warmed my heart, right? So thinking about that. Thinking about, of course, you're setting your SMART goals, specific, measurable targets, based on data, based on, it could be based on your goal, it could be based on the objective. So really thinking about tangible targets. Also reviewing progress. How do we review? Unless we document, we're reviewing what we did, how we adjusted, how we changed, what we could do better, how it looked the second time, how it looks continue growing, how we need to continue with this goal, or how we need to move on to the next goal, right? All these are like checkpoints to where you can see where you're going, where you're headed, and where you were at the very beginning. And then, of course, our action steps. So sometimes I think of like the growth model, which is really big in coaching, but thinking of like, what are our action steps? Like, what are you going to do right now to make a change? And then what do we need to practice? What do we need to role play? And what do we need to see the next time I come? Okay, now this is something I see we kind of struggle with, is leveraging our teachers and their expertise in the school, right? If we know somebody is organized, or we know somebody can really extract data, or we know somebody can engage teachers by putting on the hook of the professional development, how do we leverage that and include them in our PD? And sometimes it just takes the coach or the principal to reach out and say, hey, I know you are great at this. Could you help me with this? Sometimes they'll be like, of course, sure. And sometimes they'll be like, yeah, no. And that's okay. But really being able to leverage their experience is a crucial part. So when we're talking about leading teacher workshops, when we're talking about mentor programs, when you're parent mentor programs or professional learning communities, PLCs, sometimes you could switch it up and put like a second grade teacher with a fifth grade PLC and kind of see what that looks like, in leading the initiatives on like concepts or skills that we want to learn. It could be something simple as growth mindset, PD, but it doesn't have to be all only grade level, right? So thinking of what can we do to kind of switch things up to support our next generation of teachers. Okay, differentiated resources. Always think from the lens of, how do I change things up? Now, all the times you don't have to, but being that if something is not working, we know we already have that what do we call it? The lens of withedness. We already have that. So when things are not working. So try new things. So I always say, either you can take different content, video libraries, maybe you can do a chapter of a book, thinking about a teacher challenge based on a concept that you've taught them. I've done that before. You do video exemplars. So one thing I did was ask the teachers, can I show this video of the whole school of you doing the thing that we kind of had a challenge with, because you won the challenge. And so being able to show a 3 to 5 second clip to the whole school on how great the strategy was and why this person won, right? Thinking about what are your strategy toolkits that you have in your bag, right? Your grab bag solution. Let me just say, I go to Teachers Treasures all the time. I'm pulling things from Teachers Treasures. I have a store. So my token that I give out during my PD is always open. So if you want to come buy something from the store for your classroom, it is here, and you get tokens every PD. Now, granted, It's not always a full store, so teachers can save their tokens, but thinking of what are we doing to make sure everybody's included. And of course, the big thing is the tech tools, the shiny objects, thinking of what specific platforms, because right now I think our teachers are overwhelmed because there's all these shiny tools and they're not sure how they integrate or how they make sense with each other. So thinking of that as asynchronous learning and then providing supports for your teachers in that manner. Okay. And so like we're talking about, what are our personal feedback loops? Okay, so we have our classroom observation. We get to kind of see what's the teachers doing, how they're, practicing, teaching, the reflective dialogue. What are the prompts that you have like readily available? If I were you, if you're a new coach, I would practice those prompts on your friend, 2 to 3 prompts that you can kind of memorize to kind of throw back. Think of what are the strategy sessions that you have, what techniques meet each teacher's learning style. That is so big, love. And then what is the follow-up and support for your teachers in that? Now, I like to say learning differentiation style is a big deal because it is knowing what teachers, what are their push points, how do they learn best, right? Being able to identify their learning preferences. And one of the things I like to do is survey them. You can always survey them. They will let you know exactly how do they like to be reached out to, what best time is good for them, and they also like to tell you what is the good celebration. So I sent out a survey and said, hey, now I'm not rich, but what are some good things? What is your favorite candy bar? What's your favorite drink, right? What's your favorite candy? And so when they would, and then I went to the dollar store and got these little certificates. So when they would show improvement, I would like write them a reward and then give them the reward. I'm like, congratulations, you showed improvement on something like proximity, right? Congratulations, give them their favorite Snicker, right? And then with that, I thought this was kind of silly, but what I noticed is up in their classrooms, they have it posted as if it's a trophy. So really thinking about how do you individualize, support your teachers. How do you match your coaching techniques with the style that they want, their preferences? And how do you offer a multi-dimensional pathway to success? And then how do you reflect on how this was very effective? Okay, now, it looks like my numbers are off. I don't know what happened here, but starting tomorrow, like thinking of what is your survey that needs to go out? Is it the survey on what do they like? Is it the survey on what is their best teaching style? Is it a survey on what are some best times? Thinking of a survey, and always survey your students and your teachers, and survey them after your PD. So like, hey, how did that really go? What would you have liked to see? How could I have done that better? Right? And so always think of survey as your kind of first go-to when you do anything. The second one is coaching approaches. How do you approach your teachers? And what are some best matches that will meet their learning style? And then data points. Thinking of multiple data points. You are pulling for multiple data points, test scores, demographics, ELLs. Like it just depends on the teacher and their focus and their SMART goal. And last but not least, you should have check-ins, right? And so one of the things I like to say is, you are checking in with your people either at least once a week to make sure that they just see you, and then you see them and you celebrate their success. I hope this was helpful. I know this was a lot, but really thinking about how do we best move the school in the roles that we have. All right, I will talk to you later. I hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you soon. Bye.